Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Excellencies, ministers, it's good to see you here. Gender equality is a hallmark for the Nordic region because we know it has made us one of the most prosperous regions in the world. Over the years, we have experienced nothing short of a Nordic gender effect, especially in the workplace. Leading on gender equality comes with huge responsibility. We must share our knowledge with other countries and even companies on how to make it possible. But equally important, we have the responsibility to close our own gender gap. Our work here is not done. This morning, I want to salute Iceland. You are world champions. Well, not yet in soccer, but you're on your way. We're very proud of you. But also, you are world champions when it comes to women's participation in the workplace. No one can take that from you yet, but there are other Nordics coming after you. And you have also, as a government, led the way by introducing legislation on equal pay. That is really leading by example. So it makes a lot of sense that you are co-hosting this barbershop here today. Last month, I was at the UN General Assembly in New York to talk about gender equality, and I brought home two messages that are very relevant for our exchange here today. First, men must raise their voices for gender equality and participate in making change happen at work and in home. And secondly, the business world holds an important opportunity in changing the game and leading on gender equality for better work-family balance, both for women and men. In New York, I learned that the, Nordic-initiated Spotify company has introduced a 6 months paid parental leave for every full-time employee, both women and men, and it has already transformed their business culture. In just 3 years, Spotify has seen an increase of women in the workforce going from 22 to 46%. Our Nordic prime ministers have recently launched a flagship project with a goal to raise the Nordic voice for gender equality internationally. We call it the Nordic Gender Effect at Work. We focus on 4 key areas: shared parental leave, access to childcare, flexible working times, and gender equality in leadership. To the companies present here today, when you act in an international forum, you have the opportunity to advance gender equality by sharing your experiences, whether it is about gender-balanced leadership or providing parental leave. This is precisely what our Prime Minister's initiative and flagship is all about. And finally, I cannot stress enough how there is no room for complacency in this issue. There is still much to be accomplished, and when it comes to men's role in facilitating women's economic empowerment, there is a huge potential for growth, for expanding your businesses. I believe the exchange here today is crucial to facilitate the learning. And to set the tone for the more personal sharing of experiences, I want to share with you my experiences with working with gender balance on boards. Because I was a member of the Norwegian cabinet when we encouraged and challenged the major businesses in Norway to balance up their boards, gender-wise. And it didn't help. You know, the voluntary line didn't work, at least not within the time frame we had set. So we had told them that if it doesn't work, we'll legislate you. And so we did. And it worked. And it's been working for 13 years. And there is now an answer to the question that is always raised when you introduce this kind of issues. Will there be enough women willing and competent? Don't listen to that question. Don't listen to that idea that there is not, because we're approximately the same number of people on both genders. So that's not the issue. The issue is if structures are opened up and facilitated so that this can happen, and so that we don't miss out on the opportunity of having balanced boards. I went on to the global scene as chair of Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization. It's a public-private partnership. The UN agencies relevant are playing an important part as partners, but there are also private sector and governments. And we had a wonderful gender policy. And I was so proud to have passed it in the board. You know, I said it called for gender balance on all committees and on the board itself. And then I raised my hand. I wasn't chair at that time. I was just a member. And I said, what about this board? I mean, there are 20% women, and the gender policy says balance. So I became the chair. And I was in for a he for she kind of experience, because I decided for myself, and I told the board, I will not allow any appointment to the board as board members of men until we have a balance, men and women. And so that caused a lot of problems. I won't tell you because there are so many diplomats here, I can't tell you. But there were some diplomatic complications following that decision. But it happened in a relatively short time. We heard all the arguments. You know, we don't have a vaccine expert in our country that is a woman. I said, I don't believe it. And of course, in a few weeks, they had one. She was good. She may have been even better than the men they had thought of. But they hadn't thought of her. So I'm proud to say that happened. And I left the board a year ago, but I checked yesterday. It's even better now. So it matters. Leadership matters. And don't believe all the good reasons you're given for not doing it. Just do it. That's the slogan. And it's smart, it's right. And for me, it's about the dignity, the human dignity of every single person on this earth.